So I went there, I touched the rocks, and all I heard was answer the call, answer the call, answer the call. Light beings, Pleiadians, and then Peilin realized that she has always had a connection with beings with blue eyes, and then we were like, oh yeah, this makes sense. And I shared with Peilin this vision that I got, and she said she got the same thing. And that was when she shared with me that she's being guided to create like a trip to Egypt, 9 days, 9 women very specifically. And I knew immediately deep in my bones, I was like, I'm going there, overlooking the ocean. And I had a very, very weird feeling. It was a mix of longing, sadness, but yet at the same time hope. And then it was being further shown to me that this is the fall of Atlantis. Oh, and the vision of me actually fleeing to Egypt. And then I heard the voice like, you spread your wings and fly. And I was like, what? So I tried to spread my wings and fly, and then like flap my wings, and it generated so much like power and wind. I was like, whoa, like this is me.
Okay. So the recording has started. So first of all, thank you for being the first sign up to my retreat. Yay! Yeah.
I knew it.
So, Oh, you knew it?
Yeah, I kind
told
of
you,
just
right?
know that. No, you didn't tell me, did you? But I kind of just know that I'll be the first in some way. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there are a lot of things that just happen, and then we just know, even though we are not telling each other, but we just kind of know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe to start off, you can first share with us a little bit about what you do.
Cool. So I always struggle with introducing myself because, like, who am I? Really? What do I do? Because I feel like I do a lot of stuff all at the same time, and I don't like to call myself or put a label on myself also, but for the sake of people watching this and connecting with my frequency and your frequency, I guess we resonate and identify with being like a starseed, right? Whatever that means to you on a personal level. So really, I feel like I connect a lot with the Pleiadian energy, and that's what actually, I guess, brought us together as well. So Peilin and I met through a singing bowl practitioner course, and it's very interesting because the day that I was at the workshop with her, it's quite like magical how all of these things align, because there are 3 levels to the workshop: level 1, level 2, level 3. And interestingly, I got the message that I'm supposed to do, after level 1, I'm supposed to do level 3 before I do level 2. And I was like, oh, how does that work? Like, does that even make sense? And our teacher, Christina, from the Singing Bowl Gallery, she did tell me that it doesn't matter because level 2 and level 3 is quite independent of each other. So I was like, okay, cool. But a lot of my limiting beliefs were like, no, you cannot go to level 3 before you actually do level 2. I was like, okay, Spirit's telling me, my guides are telling me to go level 3. So I went for level 3. And then if I didn't go for level 3 first, I actually wouldn't have met Peilin in level 2. that happened after the level 3 workshop. Yeah, so when in that 1 hour, I felt very connected to Peilin's energy for some reason, and there was a very specific nudge within me to go up to her and ask for her number after the workshop. And I felt like, honestly, I was a creep because I went up and I was like, hi, can I have your number? and like Peilin like is so nice, and she's like, oh yeah, sure. And then we talked about taking the Singing Bowl practitioner course, and that's also how I guess our relationship grew on a much deeper level. And then we sort of talked about light beings, Pleiadians, and then Peilin realized that she has always had a connection with beings with blue eyes, and then we were like, oh yeah, this makes sense. So yeah, like I work a lot with frequency and energy, and I'm an intuitive channeler. So what I basically do is I channel messages, and more specifically also light language. Light language is what I personally understand it as is like energy moving through us and our unique soul expression of this energy. So it is not really a language that can be learned. A lot of people ask, oh, how can I learn language? Like, what language is this? Do you have a course on it? Well, I'm contemplating on creating a container and a space for people to explore that. But really, it's not about learning. It's about exploring and feeling how energy moves through you and how you express it. So it can be in a form of singing, it can be in a form of dancing, in a form of writing. And so I work with these energies. I alchemize them, transmute them, channel them to sort of anchor it into the grids of planet Earth. So if you have heard about the term grid worker, I guess I also identify with being a grid worker. And I think Peilin's also a grid worker because she's being called to go to Europe, like to sell her house in Singapore, which is such a big move. And Peilin always, like, she's kind of like my little inspiration. Every time I talk to her, I'm like, oh, I'm reminded to always come back to my heart and follow my heart, and follow the guidance. So we are, just jetting off across the world to do what we're being called to, and in doing so, we are, our bodies are vessels and our bodies are pillars of light. We are the bridge between the heaven and the earth. So wherever we are called to, whatever we are called to do, we are actually anchoring in the higher dimensional and higher density frequencies onto Earth, even if you might not be consciously aware of it. So yeah, that's a long introduction. That's basically what I do.
It's okay.
And also how Peilin and I met, and how it has blossomed into such a beautiful relationship and friendship.
Yeah, and I'm actually so grateful that you came up to me to ask for my number. Because like I mentioned, it would be even weirder if I did it the other way, I also really felt called to get to know you, even though we didn't really interact during the workshop. Yeah, and I told you before that, if I were the one who asked you first, I would be like, hey, can I be your friend? And that would be like even more awkward. Yeah. Yeah, lor. So yeah. So it's always beautiful to look back and see how things actually unfold. So back to Egypt, and yeah, what are the stories today that you have to share with us?
I don't even know when the message first came to me about Egypt, but I knew that I was going to go to Egypt towards the end of 2024, this year, as we're recording this, or early next year. So that was sort of a very clear message that was given to me one day when I was sitting at one of the beaches in Bali, and it was actually in March of 2024 this year that I was being called to Bali for an Atlantean activation. So it was very specific. And when I was in Bali, I received a bunch of memories of my Atlantean lifetime, the fall of Atlantis. I started to meet people who were a part of the Atlantean timeline as well, and have very strong connections with them. And one of the very specific and vivid memories that I have during my Atlantean lifetime is during the fall of Atlantis. I remember that this actually traces way back to, I think it was September of 2023, where I was actually also being called to Bali. So the journey actually started in May of 2023, and then after coming to Bali for a vacation, right? I went home in May, and then I felt a very strong calling to go in September. So then in September, I was being shown a vision of me and my teacher back in that lifetime, and now also my teacher, overlooking the ocean. And I had a very, very weird feeling. It was a mix of longing, sadness, but yet at the same time hope. And then it was being further shown to me that this is the fall of Atlantis, and I was a part of the water clan, and my teacher was teaching me how to manipulate water, so how to channel the energies of water. And we were the ones who created the big waves to sink Atlantis during that time, because it was going in a direction where it would completely destroy not just the human race, but beyond, and it's going to be irreversible. So I was like, okay, this is a lot. And then going back to Singapore, I then felt called to come to Bali again in March of this year. And this was when a lot more information came to me, and the message of, and the vision of me actually fleeing to Egypt and teaching in front of the pyramids in the mystery schools, teaching to very specific students, and they are the information holder or guardians of these lost information that will then be activated and remembered by them when the time comes. And I keep hearing the phrase, the time is now, the time is now. So it, like, looking at it now in terms of a timeline perspective, it's quite interesting to see how at the Atlantean lifetime, the remembering of that sort of surfaced in March, and then I got the message to go to Egypt in the end of this year, and that mirroring of after Atlantis, I fled to Egypt, and now after Bali, I'm going to Egypt to remember what I meant to remember. So I honestly don't know what's going to happen in Egypt, but I know that the synchronicity is not coincidence. When I had visions of a group of us sitting in the middle, like sitting in a circle, and in the middle is kind of like a crystal pyramid. I don't know what, I think it's a crystal pyramid, but it's a pyramid that is like huge, and we were just meditating around the pyramid. And then somehow our conversation went to that, and I shared with Paylin this vision that I got, and she said she got the same thing. And that was when she shared with me that she's being guided to create like a trip to Egypt, 9 days, 9 women, very specifically. And I knew immediately, deep in my bones, I was like, I'm going there. Yes, I'm going there. I had no idea where the money would come from. I had no idea whether how much it would be, but I just knew that I was going to be there. And this feeling reminded me of a similar thing that happened that brought me to Bali in September. So after my first trip in May, I knew that I had to go to Bali in September, and I didn't know when, I didn't know how. Then somehow one of my friends that I was on a podcast with like 2 years ago, she messaged me and she said she's holding a retreat in Bali in September, and I was like, okay, I'm going for this. I had no idea what she was gonna do, and I think I was also the first sign up. I just knew deep in my bones that this is where I need to be, and I didn't even know what she was gonna do. I didn't know how many days it was. I just felt like, okay, yes, whatever it is, I'm going, and this is the reason why I'm going to Bali. So this story actually links with Egypt, because in September, during the retreat itself, we went to one of the waterfalls to do like a cleansing ceremony. So I remember when it was my turn to go under the waterfall, I sensed a very, very strong presence of a being with super huge wings, like super, super, super huge. I thought it was a bird at first. It was so huge that I was like, whoa, this is the guardian of the waterfall. So I went there, I touched the rocks, and all I heard was answer the call, answer the call, answer the call. I was like, I don't even know what call it was, but my response under the waterfall as I was holding the rock was yes, yes, yes. And then I came out and I started crying. I don't know what I was crying about, but I was releasing. And then I went back up and continued the trip. And I was like, okay, this is weird. I don't know what happened, but it felt good to swim in the waterfall. So then, after that, I was being guided to go to a plant medicine ceremony, which I had no idea I was gonna go. And somehow things aligned, and I went for it. And I remember so vividly that my kundalini activated in the beginning. I felt this divine feminine power rising from the base of my spine, and I felt so hot, and like my wings, I felt my wings growing. It was like white and humongous, and then I heard the voice like, you spread your wings and fly, and I was like, what? So I tried to spread my wings and fly, and then like flap my wings, and it generated so much like power and wind. I was like, whoa, like this is me, like this divine feminine goddess kind of energy. And so that's the second like winged being thing that came to me. And I actually didn't know what it was all about until 3 months later. I was actually on Instagram stories. I was just watching, and then I saw this pendant of Isis, and I immediately knew that this was what it was. At the waterfall and during the ceremony, I was like, Isis? I've never resonated with Egyptian like history or goddesses. And when I saw Isis, I was almost like confused, because I was like, who is Isis? And I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this information. So a bunch of other stuff came up that guided me to buy an oracle deck of Isis. So I bought it, but I always, like, the energy of it always feels too big for me to work with. And now I'm remembering something that I read before that says that Isis has a very destructive energy, but yet at the same time she creates. So further information I got is the reason why I couldn't pull cards from Isis Oracle every day is because like her energy is very I don't know if the word is polarizing, but like she destroys and she creates, and she destroys and burns away anything that is no longer in alignment in your life, that is actually holding you back from stepping into your light, right? And that destruction itself is it can be very painful for people, and that can cause a lot of fear, because as humans we tend to hold on to the concept of safety, and like I don't want things to change, because if we change then like I have to reorganize my life and like find that sense of familiarity again. So I guess that was where the fear was also coming from, like I'm scared of working with the energy of Isis, because then my life is going to be flipped upside down. But I realized that it has already been flipped upside down ever since she came to me at the waterfall. So I was like, okay, cool. So now being guided to Egypt, I feel like she's always been present with me ever since that day that we sort of connected at the waterfall, and especially during the ceremony where she activated me. And she's really pushing me to step into my divine feminine power, I guess. And that in itself can be quite scary, because as women we have always been programmed to submit, like to not speak up for ourselves, because if we do, then there is a risk of, I don't know, like losing everything. And as I work through a lot of these shadows and like darkness and I guess limitations that we hold as women, I'm realizing that I'm born into an Asian body to help transmute these energies, that we're here to help, I guess, pave a new way for the future generations to walk. So yeah, I guess that's it about my story, and it's always unfolding, so I'm excited to see. At the same time, also quite scared to see what Egypt has for me, because I always feel like when I'm in Egypt, there's going to be a big activation, and I don't know how that's going to flip my life upside down again, but I answered the call. I said yes, right? So there's no going back. And I think this is so much more than ourselves. I think like in this journey, as you are a vessel creating something, because the universe guided you to do so, it is far beyond your ego. Like however much that retreat is, however much that price tag is on this trip, it really transcends like the whole idea of, oh, people are making money from this retreat and like profiting from this retreat. I mean, of course there needs to be that source of profit, right, to run that, and you are a vessel creating this on behalf of the universe, so that energetic exchange has to happen and has to be balanced. But I think people also have to realize that revenue that you get from this whole retreat is not just for yourself. Like this is for the evolution of humanity. Like it is planetary evolution. The money that you make from this will then be channeled into something else that you'll be called to create, because it is always a flow. And that is what I've been realizing as well, as I am removing and working through a lot of limiting beliefs around how people shouldn't be making profit from this spiritual work and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is far beyond what our limited understanding is just about making money. Like this is not a business. Money is a currency, it's an energetic currency, and it's an exchange of energy to create something else, and it's all helping humanity, the human race, the planet evolve into a higher state of consciousness.
Yeah, interesting, because since young, actually, I have never felt that my money was mine. Yeah, I've always felt that money is just something I have. It's like kind of a resource. And whenever I have this resource, I will just feel that, okay, I need to allocate it in a certain way. But that's about it. Either to go about daily life or to do certain work or to even to give sometimes. And yeah, I've never felt that money actually belongs to me. Yeah. Well, thanks for sharing your perspective on, whatever has happened thus far, because I feel that it is through the combination of perspectives, like from your perspective, from my perspective, from everyone's perspective, that we get closer and closer to the truth. Yeah. A combination of perspectives lead us closer to the truth. Yeah. And so while planning for the retreat, I had to do like the sales page, I had to look for pictures, like beautiful pictures. And there was one particular picture that I saw when I saw that, I was like, immediately I knew that Jamie's gonna come for the retreat. Yeah. So it's like the picture of the pyramids, there's the Sphinx there, and then in the foreground, very, very small, there's one camel and there's one guy holding on to the camel. And that totally reminded me of the postcard that I actually gave to you. When did I give it to you? I think it was close to a year ago.
Before,
Yeah.
really? I thought it was before you left for Europe. Or was
No,
it
it
the
was actually
first
way
few times we
before that.
met? Oh, wow.
I remember our first meeting outside of the Singing Bowl Gallery was at Botanic Gardens.
Yep.
And then, yeah, that was when all the Starseed stuff came out.
Yeah.
And I was like
Yeah,
mind
yeah.
blown. And then subsequently, we had a singing bowl practice together. Like we were supposed to practice on each other. And that morning, I was actually journaling. Yeah, so I was journaling, writing. Then when I closed the book, oh, something dropped out. And it was the postcard that I gave you. Yeah, so it dropped out and I was like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to do with this? Oh, I'm meeting Jamie tonight. Okay, maybe I'll give it to Jamie. It was just so random, like, yeah, and actually, I was journaling about our meeting as well. Like, everything that I felt, all the topics that came up, I was journaling about that and I was thinking about you. And then it was the first time in my life that I was thinking about someone and then something physical appeared. Yeah, and then something physical appeared, the postcard, and then I decided to give it to you, and then that's exactly the same picture or like image that I saw when I'm creating the retreat close to a year later, and then yeah. So
It's crazy, right? Because I think when you gave me that postcard, I I haven't even remembered my past lives in Atlantis so clearly. The Egypt thing hasn't even came up yet. And it's just so mind-blowing to look back and realize how everything is so, like, it's planned. Like, all these points of destiny, that's what I see. Like, then some people say, do we really have free will? We have free will. Like, well, I see it as a combination of both because we still co-create with the universe. We still co-create our life with the universe. So we have sovereignty, we have free will. We can always choose whether we want to follow a message or not. But there are also specific things in our lives, for example, like relationships or people that we will meet or places that we will go that are like points of destiny. Meaning, like, regardless of what happens, which path you choose, you will somehow be led there, be led to this person, be led to this situation, and it will teach you what you need to learn. It will show you what you need to know. So I believe Egypt is the point of my destiny, our destiny. That is why it came up even before we talked about all the Starseed thing, and like all these things started to happen, and all this what people call weird or like crazy stuff started happening. It's already planned and it has been guiding us ever since.
yeah, it could have already been planned. It could also be like at different stops along the way, at different planned stops along the way, like, you know, you are meant to meet this person, and then at that point in time you have a choice. It's like you have a choice to believe this person or not to believe this person. This person is teaching you something, you have a choice to learn it or not to learn it, and then the future is slowly created point by point. Yeah, it's like you get a call, right? And then you can choose to answer it or not to answer it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I found that whenever you answer the call from the universe, or like signs, follow signs from the universe, you know, things get magical in a way and unexpected. Yeah, and really interesting, you know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so any other stories regarding Egypt that you would like to share? Did you ever manage to pull from the Isis card, the deck? Like, when was the last time you pulled from it?
I think I cannot remember the last time I pulled from it, but I do remember one card that I pulled very specifically. It's the Ankh. And I remember this, what do you call it, invocation or a little prayer that you can say along with the Ankh. So it was a little exercise. The card pull came along with a little guided exercise that guided us to draw the Ankh out. And within the loop, right, the instruction was to sort of write or draw out what you want to call into your life. So I drew out a bunch of stuff about the messages I receive around traveling the world to do good work, about the little sanctuaries that I will create around the world, which is like mind-blowing to me. I still don't know how this is going to happen. About a lot of other group containers that I've been guided to create. And I want to share this little prayer that I memorized by heart. Like, I just kept saying it every morning, and it just naturally came to me. I didn't like tell myself I have to memorize this, you know. It just was so resonant with me that I remembered it. And it says, "Cross of life, cross of light, protect me through the darkest plight. Held within the Isis womb, new melody of my soul tune. Safely held in the loop unbroken, till it is time for new life to break open." And it really resonated with me because I felt like there's a lot of things that I'm being guided to do, places I'm being guided to go, things I'm being guided to create. But my guides keep telling me, not yet. Like, not yet. It's the incubation phase. You know how, like, when a woman is pregnant, it's 9 months of gestation. Like, that 9 months, you need to finish it. If not, it will be premature. And if it's prematurely born, it's dangerous for the baby. And it's same thing in the Isis womb, which I see as the cosmic womb. Everybody has a womb, regardless whether you're a female or a male. You have the womb, and that's the cosmic womb. And that the womb is literally the portal between life, like physical and non-physical. And if you look at, you know, when a woman is bringing life into earth, it's quite crazy how, like, we're literally, like, women is literally bringing spirits into a physical body, like souls into a physical body. Yeah, bridging that physical and non-physical. It's like, how does that happen? You know, it's like quite magical. And within the Isis womb is the same thing. When we're being guided to go somewhere, do certain things, create this Egypt trip, like, it's held within the womb until it is time to be given birth. And sometimes this period can be a long time, sometimes it can be a short time, it depends. But only at the most divine timing will it be birthed. And that will then create the magic, like you said. Because if it's too early or too late, then it's premature and overdue. So, like, that was something that really, like, resonated with me from from the Isis deck that took me actually months to digest, even something that simple. And again, Isis is the archetype, that energy that's showing up in this Ankh, the cross of life. So yeah, and another thing I wanted to share is my mom. Very interestingly, I don't know how my mom is linked to all of this yet, but she visited me in Bali this month during my trip here, and she said that in the in-between states of her falling asleep and still being awake, she saw this like shadow of a bird-like being hopping towards her. That was it. And she didn't know what it was until she started to Google the image, and then she screenshot an Egyptian being. I'm not sure which goddess it is, or whether it's a goddess or just an Egyptian person. She screenshot that and she showed me that this is what I saw. I was like, what? And this is all when you happened after you sent the launch page to me. I was like, okay, cool, the Egypt stuff. Like that was one thing, and I was like, okay, cool that this thing is coming up to you. Maybe it has a message for you. And then she is currently in Malaysia, and she checked into her hotel, right? And in her hotel, all like there are like photos hung on the wall, and they're all like Egyptian themed. And she took a video of it, and she was like, look what I'm seeing again. I was like, wow, okay, this Egyptian energy is strong for her. I don't know if she is linked to this trip or linked to me and our lifetime in Egypt. It hasn't been revealed, but I must say that this Egypt thing has been coming in very, very, very strongly. So yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, and like how the Ankh is like a representation of the womb, which also feels to me like a portal. And yeah, it feels to me like a portal of time. Like when you describe it, I think of it as like how the future is created in the present moment. And it is when we know what we want, and then like what you said, right, you write it, your vision and things that you want to see in your life in that loop. And then when the time comes, when the right time comes, it will be birthed into creation. Yeah, it's like how, maybe I'm a little bit hungry, but I'm just thinking, you know, when you go to a restaurant and then you need to order your food. And then the kitchen can cook it. And then when the right time is up, you know, like the food is ripe, you can eat it, then it will be served to you. Yeah, so it's kind of like how we are all creators of our destiny and our life. And we need to first order our food, know what we want, and then it can be created. Yeah. You cannot just go into a restaurant and, anything, anything, I eat anything, and then, you know, you'll get anything. Yeah. So that's how I see it.
But interestingly, that there's also this concept of no menu restaurant, right? Where you go in, like it was, and you go in, and then whatever is there, you take it, and like it's a surprise from the universe. So I think these two concepts are, how should I put it? Like, also it depends on your own personal preference. Like some people just do not like not knowing what they're eating, and so they wanna consciously call that in. But some people also, I guess, want to be surprised by the universe and like the full surrender mode, to receive exactly what the restaurant has for them. The universe in this case now has for you, because I think it's a balance, right? Because sometimes, well, not sometimes, but most of the time, our mind is very limited in a way where we can't see beyond what has happened before. Like it's hard to believe that something can happen if it hasn't happened before. And we have this limited, we limit ourselves in, okay, only this can happen. But who says that, only this can happen? Maybe even more can happen, and something even more magical. I don't know why we're talking about this topic, but
I don't know why.
But yeah. It's that constant co-creation. That's why it's called co-creation. It's not just you creating, right? It's co-creation with the universe. So as much as you order something, you meet the universe will meet you where you're at also. So it's like always a halfway, not halfway, but like a point where it takes both hands to clap, basically. It's a relationship with the universe, and we are the universe. So
yeah. We are the universe. Yeah. So it's like what you said, co-creation. You can have an idea or an inkling of what you want, what it may be like, but it may be totally unexpected. But when I look back at my life, I realized that every single time I follow my heart, and then I look back, I'm always pleasantly surprised. Yeah, I always get more than what I thought I would get. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think even if we were to follow our heart, and we were to go through some challenges or turbulence, I think it is all part of our journey, because one day I was writing in my journal, and I wrote down how we have been so programmed to only seek the light, to only seek for the good stuff, when life is, you can't only have one side. It is about both, right? And if you only have one side, it's like an artwork that only has one color. And even if you only use the bright colors, it doesn't bring out the colors. You need to have the shadow. You need to have some of the dark colors to bring out the light colors. So this is also life. Life is ups and downs. Life is darkness and light. So it doesn't mean that if you follow your heart and something bad happens, it means that, oh, this is a wrong decision. No, there's no right or wrong. It is all a journey. And looking back, there's always something to take away from any experience and every experience. So yeah, there was actually something else that I wanted to say when you were talking about something. Oh yes, I remember now.
With regard?
So yeah, so I kind of feel like the trip is gonna be also a co-creation with the 9 women that will be there. It's not just about who created this. So in this case, it's you, right? It's not like, oh, Peilin's the one that's gonna guide us through. She's gonna lead us this, that. I think that's what a lot of people think about a retreat, when the facilitator or the person that creates it will lead. Of course, you will be guiding, but at the same time, there is a lot of, what I feel, that there will be a lot of space for us to flow and do our own thing, whether individually or as a group. Because Egypt is gonna be a powerful portal for these 9 women that's going to join, and they're called to that specific place and in this specific group for a very specific reason. So it feels like somehow individually we will take turns to share and to guide something, and it's our trip, not just Peilin's retreat that she's facilitating. It's like our thing where we all co-create, and however that looks like, we won't know until we are at that specific location. Somehow it will be clear to us. Yeah. I don't know if you feel that also.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's exactly how I felt while creating the trip. I just feel like I'm merely a facilitator in a way, just putting things together. But it was so specific, like 9 women, 9 days. And if the number of people are specific, it means that specific people need to come. So yeah, and I just feel that I'm just here to put everything together, and you all just need to come along, and then everyone will have their own journey. Everyone will be a co-creator of whatever happens. Yeah, there will be times where we'll be doing things together, but it's like we are together but also on our own journey at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chills. And it chills, and it just feels so right. Like, specifically 9 women, meaning that these 9 women is kind of already set in stone. I think we talked about this before, where like these 9 women already know that they're coming, and it's whether they answer this call or not. So if you're listening, watching this, feel like it's resonating with you in your bones and like deep in your soul, but you have no idea why. Well, you don't have to know. Because like, if you already know, then what's the point? Life is about life. You will never know what the future holds. And yeah, I don't know, just listen. Listen to this call, and it will make sense. It will only make sense when you're there. And believe me that it might not even make sense when you're there. Like how I went for the plant medicine ceremony, I was like, what is this messages that I'm receiving? It took me 6 months to fully 8 months to actually come full circle moment and realize, oh, this is what it means when they showed me this. Now I know, 8 months later. So even in the trip during Egypt, like you receive all these things, but you might not even comprehend and have the ability to comprehend. But again, when the divine timing comes, when time is right, then you will fully actually understand. So I guess like it's an invitation to for people to also sort of release that expectation of what to get out of a retreat or a course or program that they are signing up for. I'm learning to also release that. I used to sign up in that mindset. Like, I need to look at what I get, what's the value, what are the individual courses, and is this something worth my money? And now I'm like, there's more to this than just the tangible things that you will get. And like maybe 20% is tangible, but 80% is in the energetic realms, and it takes no form. You can only feel it. And if it feels right, then it's right. So yeah, I guess that's a good wrap up.
Yeah, very good wrap up. So thank you so much for sharing all your stories. I think I've heard them a few times, but each time it's like you still get chilled, and you're still like, oh my god, oh my god. Yeah. And I guess this is how our memories work. Sometimes we forget certain details here and there, and then we are here all to just share and to remind each other how amazing and how interesting life can be, and to just remind each other, you know, like of our memories. And yeah, perhaps everything is just a journey of remembering. Yeah, even things like past lives and how are they relevant to our present. And like you mentioned, the fall of Atlantis, why did it fall, what can we learn from it, things like that, how can we do better. Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
remember now once one of the things that came to me was, we need the great forgetting in order to experience the great remembering. So it's like when you're being born into this body, you forget who you truly are. You forget what it is you came here to do, what it really is. But the journey, like you said, is about remembering who you are, remembering that connection, reconnecting with yourself, and coming home to yourself and what truly is.